is about the cell structure that we did in bio. So today, and so it's sorry, and in bio we learned about the cell structure and like all the parts that make up plant and animal cells, and we learned the functions as well. So for the project we had to create. So the agenda is a like project and a few questions I'll ask you guys, and then process and the product of what me and my partner created, and working together, which is like the experience I had with working with another classmate. What I learned about myself, connections, and then the last question, is there anything you guys want to ask? So, project. So the basic necessities for this project were draw and label the structures of both animal and plant cells, explain each structure, so like the mitochondria and the cell wall, and how it's similar to a city or a community, so how it connects and relates, and name different parts, also like label each part, and then make it colorful. So then questions, like have you, question one is like, have you ever had toured New York, ever toured Central Park, but have you ever toured a cell? So the last part, it connects to what me and my partner did in the project. The process. So first, after picking our partners, we decided / agreed on a concept. So we could either do a poster, rap, or a children's book. Next, we assigned our jobs, and since we decided to do a children's book, we decided that my partner was gonna do the writing, and I was gonna draw out the cells and structures. Next was the research to like make sure we had everything correct, label each organism. Next was then I did the drawings as well, so I had to like sketch it out and make sure that each structure was there compared to the animal and plant cell. Then afterwards was planning the book. So we had to put the book in order from plant cells to animal cells, and we had to make everything basically flow and match. And then adding color and finishing touches were the last things we did, like as we both did. And the project. So for the project, we decided to make a children's book, as I said. So to make it feel more childish, we added we made like the structures like talk to each other, and to give it more like that childish book feel. And like my idea was like we include the DNA as a tour guide to like since they know the genetic information, so they would go around and like ask the cells, and like not ask, introduce each cell, like what they do. And so this is like this guy over here is kind of like an example of what we did. We made a cartoon character. Now, some things I said back about this project with working with partners was we did not have the same schedule. We only had bio and college prep together, and that was only in the first half of the day. And so with that came limited time together. And when we didn't have class together, we would work on it by ourselves, which came to not knowing what your partner is planning. So it's basically, so like I had trouble like designing stuff because I wasn't sure how big she wanted or how small compared to like how much she's writing. And then communicating with the partners, we can communicate like through like texting as well, but like that also became a problem for us because sometimes I would text my partner or like she wouldn't answer sometimes, so that was another thing. So what I learned about myself. During this project I learned that I am a perfectionist, so that was a big struggle. When it came to my drawings, I really took my time and made sure they were perfect. Although that can be really time consuming because I had to draw so much, and I didn't have time to draw each line perfectly or make sure that it's symmetrical. Also, when planning this project, I came up with some ideas that my partner and I could do. I tend to go back and forth with with the idea because I want to work on one that's going to be the best for us, but I also wanted to work on something that was a bit different from other students. Overall, I didn't make up my mind, and neither did my partner, so that was really time consuming. So like that's something that we both learned from this. So connections, so like working with partners, I would say like working with partners, working and communicating with fellow peers, that's something like you can connect to like the outside world because they're in college, or like when you're working you have to communicate with other people and other peers as well. Review, so this connects to me like for review because we learned this last year as well. So this was more of a review for me, and it was much easier for me as well. So managing my time is something that like my goals. So managing time and overthinking are like my personal goals because there's something I need to improve on. And during this project, it really challenged me in doing that. Any questions?
This is your project is on cell structure. Do you have any pictures of the project?
Oh no, I couldn't. I asked our bio. He said he couldn't take them out, so I couldn't get any pictures. But like that. This guy was basically like an example of what we use in the project. So like I would like draw him in like different like facial expressions and going around. So,
Oh man, we would love to see him. He didn't let you take pictures either?
No.
Is it McIntyre? Mr. McIntyre?
McIntyre.
That's interesting.
No, I asked him yesterday.
He said no?
No, he didn't say no. Is that like he was busy with stuff really because he was yesterday I asked him, he said he was going to be here tomorrow, and he said.
All right, so
Yeah.
go back to when you said one of your strengths was, I think on there it said time management. Managing my time. So, do you think that you waited to the last minute to get a picture, a copy of that? Is that it? Could you, if you would have asked earlier?
Yeah.
Because I think that this project, I don't think that it's about cell structure. I think it's about you understanding how to create a project. I mean, you see what I'm saying? It's like I think this is great, but the way that you have, I wrote that, well structured PowerPoint, your agenda is very clear, but I kept waiting to see the project, the cell structure, like what you actually did. So, you understand what I'm saying? It's like, if you were to give me the gist of what this project, what you've just shown us, was about, what would you say this project is about? This PowerPoint presentation that you've shown us.
Create the process of the project, basically. I would say the create.
Well, you included some things that you struggled with, right? And some things that were hard about sort of implementing it. But I'm with Ms. Stocker a little bit because, like, I'm sort of seeing that it was hard to sort of, like, work with people. It was hard to sort of find time for it. But a lot of what we want to know is what you learned, right? What you learned, like, in terms of, like, the actual content and the cell structure and that kind of thing. So some of that isn't really clear to me, right? It's like lacking a little bit. So I'm curious, what are some things that you did learn about cell structure, and like what were some decisions that you made? So you made it into a children's book, but what were some things that you guys, like, what were some decisions that you had to make in this children's book specifically?
Me and my partner, we couldn't use, since it was a children's book, we couldn't use the big terminology that they use themselves,
So what was your book teaching the children? You know what I'm saying? What was the plot of your book? What was it teaching them? Because whatever it was teaching them is also what you learned, right? Whatever you learned, you processed that, and you packaged it into a children's book So if I was reading